More now on the crisis in Mali. Al Jazeera has spoken to a spokesperson for Ansar el-Din. He denies that his group is linked to al-Qaeda and says most of those killed in the attack on Kona were innocent civilians.
We managed to repel the first attack on Kona, the town which we had taken a few days ago. The terrorist French military bombed Kona. The hospitals are now filled with the injured. Women, children and the elderly are the main victims. It's impossible to know how many have been killed, but the number is huge. Only 5 of those killed were our fighters. The rest are all innocent civilians, murdered by the indiscriminate bombing of the French Air Force. We have tanks, armoured vehicles, anti-aircraft guns, Grad rocket launchers and other weapons. We've already managed to down a French aircraft, which everyone has now heard about. But know this, we fight the French with the same weapons as our brothers fought their invaders in Afghanistan and Iraq. Our faith in God, by His will, Azawad will be the Afghanistan of the region and France's downfall. Everyone knows we are a local, independent Islamist group. Our relationship with Al-Qaeda and other groups is the same as our relationship with any other Muslim. We share the same faith, that is all. Nothing more, nothing less.
Well, I'm joined now by Sylvain Touati, a political analyst and associate fellow at the French Institute of International Relations here in Doha. Sylvain Touati, the French government had originally said it wasn't going to deploy combat troops to Mali, so why the change of policy and what's its strategy now in Mali? Have the spokesperson from Ansar el-Din mentioned, the rebels of the north took Kona, which is one city closer to Sévaré and Mopti, which are the biggest city in central Mali. So obviously it's an answer to the offensive launched by rebels. And the French army intervened basically because the Malian army couldn't face the situation and lost the battle in Kona. So the French army had to intervene to stop the offensive, and we've seen airstrike to try to stop convoys of rebels troops merging in Kona. How is it going to intervene in the long term? I think that the main priority is to stop the offensive, to try to help the Malian army to reorganize, try to also let the ECOWAS-led the armies to gather in Sévaré, try to organize the international intervention. I don't think the French army, and I think the spokesperson from the French government has mentioned that they're not planning to launch an offensive. The French army is not going to try to resize Gao, Tombouctou or Kidal by itself. It's just here to prepare the ECOWAS-led intervention. Yeah, that's very important what you say about ECOWAS, because, I mean, how does the French strategy then fit into the UN mandate for the ECOWAS operation? I mean, are the French just paving the way for ECOWAS?
Basically, what happened is if the rebels took Sévaré airport, which is the only airport in the region who can welcome planes and troops from the region, the intervention from ECOWAS will have been postponed for months, maybe years. And I think that's the main strategic involvement of the French army here, is to be sure that Sévaré airport and Mopti are not getting under the control of the rebels. And I think that's where the French army intervene on the strategic level. Secondly, the fact that the Sévaré airport is still open. Now we can see the ECOWAS armies, probably from Senegal, Niger, who we don't know yet what will be the composition of this ECOWAS intervention. They will gather in Sévaré and in the region, and they will prepare themselves to maybe support the Malian army, because remember, the main thing is what's been decided by the UN resolution is the fact that it's going to be the Malian army that is going to try to retake the control of northern Mali with the support of ECOWAS armies, and the ECOWAS armies will be supported by France, the US and international community, including the European Union.
Let me ask you a wider question. I mean, back home in France, what's the political temperature for the Mali mission? And I mean, how much broad support does President Hollande have amongst French politicians and the wider French public in general?
I believe he has almost full support of the French political classes. The only maybe critics are coming from the fact that he didn't won the parliament before. But I don't see any French politicians that are going to oppose this policy to protect the Malian government and to fight jihadist forces. I don't think anyone in French political classes is planning to oppose this fact. Maybe the method and what will be the size and the importance of the French engagement maybe will be discussed, but not the fact that the French army is supporting the Malian government. Definitely not, especially the fact that the Malian government asked for the help of France. It's President Traoré who wrote a letter to President Hollande for intervening. It was really important that it was done like like that. ECOWAS also leaders through Alassane Ouattara said that they're backing the fact that a French army is intervening in Mali.